right. Well, good morning, dear ones. We are SOTU, and this is SOTUesday for the 9th day of August in 2016. And we are an energy that is beyond time and space, that is coming through the dynamic of this channel's physical body in order to share information with you on a regular basis, to perhaps give you a little more peace, a little more understanding of the movement that is occurring in your world. And so these SOTUesdays are our attempt to communicate with you in a language and in a way that you may understand and accept as something that is as pragmatic as having a conversation with another individual. Even though we are not physical, we must come through a physical body in order to communicate with you. And we come through this channel, and we realize that the method of channeling has been, what shall we say, debased and has been manipulated and has been labeled in many different ways. But we would suggest that you make your own assessment and decide for yourself, not on the process of channeling, but whether the information itself is meaningful and significant to you. And so we begin today by talking about the dynamics of earthly humanity and your movement through the dynamics of growth, through the dynamics of spiritual movement, and that everything is a dynamic, everything that you are dealing with is a dynamic of the increasing consciousness that is timely, in a very timely way, appearing as an opportunity for growth, because the outcome is not written in stone. The outcome is basically up to you. Ultimately, you will achieve a dynamic of what we would call an advanced civilization, where not only you begin, but the absoluteness of your reality is based upon how well the least of you are doing, not how well the best of you are doing. Not that that is an absolute. Certainly there is a great deal more complexity in the actuality of that aspect of reality, but that is a dynamic that you are moving toward. How you get there, whether you do it with a certain amount of elegance or you do it kicking and screaming, is entirely up to you. But eventually, you as a species, and let us talk about that dynamic a little bit, about the specialness of that there are a number of different species on your planet. There are a number of primate species, but you as a species in and of itself, earthly humanity, must understand that you are connected, that you are not separate, that you are not really, you have moved in a dynamic of individuality. You have moved toward that spirit of oneness, of accepting the fact that you are a part of all that is. You are a spark of that dynamic of consciousness. And we would suggest that we really don't have to explain that to you. All you have to do is look within you and find that spark of life, that spark that keeps you alive, and you will find that connection to the more. Call it all that is, call it God, Goddess, all that is, call it whatever you wish, but it is individual to you and your connection, and it is sourced right within you. So as you find that within yourself, as you move more and more into the dynamic of identity, of moving more into who you really are, as you move more and more into celebrating your own individuality, you begin to realize that there is a movement that could be too far in a certain direction, that you could have moved now more and more into a dynamic of isolation, into a dynamic of loneliness, into a dynamic of believing that you have to do it all yourself. But what, dear ones, if you begin to rethink that reality? Look at the reality that you actually find yourself in. So many of you are being disillusioned with the possibilities that exist for you in your reality. So many of you are discontented. So many of you are angry. So many of you are enraged. Why? What is the divine movement that is pushing you in this dynamic? Why have you gotten to this point? Well, in a strictly human movement, in the dynamics of the movement to individuality, one eventually moves to a place of realizing that life goes on, that different people have different beliefs, that have different ideas, and that their beliefs and their ideas are as valid as yours. And so you become what we would call a live and let live kind of person. And you would wish to live in peace. And you would wish to live an enlightened lifestyle. And you would wish to have the opportunity to grow and learn amidst the dynamic of peace. But that doesn't exist in your world right now. Because if you look back at your near history, back to the Vietnam War days and all of that and all the protests and everything that was going on at that time, there were even then the divisions that were occurring in your world. There were those of you that were on the peace side and those of you that were on, what shall we say, the hawk side. There was the hard hats against the peaceniks, the this against the that, the black power people against the white people, against the neo-Nazis. There was inherent racism in your world. There was very clear divisions of black and white, and we mean that black and white in the sense of good and bad. And those of you that were in the dynamics of the movement for peace, it was a dynamic that was so important to you. And when Nixon, what shall we say, brought the troops home finally, you believed that you had won. And you were satisfied. And you went home to live the American dream. And you abdicated your responsibility for your reality creation to those in your reality that absolutely sought power. You won the war and you gave it all back. And that is why you find yourselves, especially those of you of this one's generation, in this place. Now, there's a new generation of folks out there, a generation of folks that some of you out here have accused of being soft, of being too politically correct. But we think that you are just seeing a shadow of yourselves, dear ones. A shadow of your own idealism. A shadow of your own beliefs in the truth. A shadow of your own understanding of connection that you abdicated long ago. So when we talk about responsibility, we speak about real responsibility. Step back from your reality. Step back from your microscopic view of things. and take responsibility for what you have created or what you have allowed. As you take responsibility, as you begin to rethink your reality, it gives you new opportunity for growth, new opportunity for change. Certainly, change is the one constant in your world, and change is happening at an ever-increasing rate right now. And you are a part of it. You can begin to take responsibility for it in any number of ways, certainly in your own life. But we would begin with you by understanding that there are no longer enough jobs in your world. There's plenty of work to do, don't get us wrong. But there are not enough jobs anymore. The dynamics of free market capitalism have decimated your democracy, have decimated your middle class. In the dynamics of taking responsibility comes the dynamics of what you have allowed. Well, dear ones, perhaps it's time to rethink all of that. Those of you in your 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, dear ones, you have a responsibility. You are a prophet generation. Can you find the prophet within you? Can you remember your truth? Can you stand on your truth, or are you too corrupted by the system that you have chosen? You know, dear ones, there's a way to solve this problem for yourself. Just look back at your life. Look at the choices that you've made. And if you're willing to forgive yourself and move on and become more, just say, oops. We have recorded this video today to perhaps introduce you to the Peace Genesis Project, a project that we have been working with this channel and Adrienne and hundreds of others over the past 7, 8 years to begin to form an energetic template that can be available, that is available, as a dynamic, as a statement of those of you who are willing to take a stand. And sometimes that stand may be no more than wearing a t-shirt that says human racist, or peace begins with enough for all, or anticipate peace. A statement that when others see it and others read it, it begins to create a new thought, a new possibility. It begins to rattle the cage of the status quo. It is a dynamic that's with every small voice that says no. It begins to shift the dynamics of your reality. So, dear ones, there will be a link below to the Peace Genesis Project if you wish to connect. And if not, that's all right too. Just begin to think about the possibilities. You of the younger generation, we celebrate your fire. Direct it well and you will change the world. You can reforge it without having to burn it down. Well, we hope we've stirred you up a little bit today. We'll talk to you again next week. We love you all so very, very much. And so until the next time we close, sending you peace with enough for all and happiness.